and welcome to the Maket Collective Conversations. I'm Emma Hill and I'm part of the committee, and I'm working here at the National Piping Centre, just doing some teaching. And we're joined today by one of the 2024 ambassadors, Hazel Whyte. Hi Hazel.
Hello.
How are you?
Not bad, yourself?
I'm fine, thanks, yeah. I'm good. Enjoying this cup of tea.
Yeah.
So we went to uni together.
Yeah.
Yeah, both graduates of RCS. This year, terrifying. So now we're like out in the adult world, which is quite scary.
Yeah.
So do you fancy just telling us a bit about your background in piping?
Of course. So around the age of 7, I was on holiday up in Forres, and we went to Forres Highland Games just for a wee day out, and I sat and watched pipe bands all day. My mum said, "Do you want to come and watch the Highland dancing? Do you want to come and see the heavy events?" Nope. There I was, sat at the side of the arena, looking through the silver fencing, watching the pipe bands. And I went home and my mum just had hundreds of pipe band photos on her phone. And I said, I want to do that. So that's where it all stemmed from, and she didn't really believe that I would ever stick at it or that I would even like it or want to do it. And it's a bit weird. So my mum was teaching in a high school at the time, and one of the former pupils had put a note back into the school and said, "Is anyone looking to learn pipes?" So my mum got this email and thought, that's like fate, that we've been talking about it, and all of a sudden, here we go, a piping tutor's just landed in our knees. And that was Darren Somerville who started teaching me. So yeah, Darren taught me right up until a few years before I went to the conservatoire. So it was really good. And I just really fell in love with pipes. I think there was a wee bit in me that was like determined to prove a point to my mum and dad that I was going to do this and I was going to stick it out. And getting into North Lanarkshire Schools pipe band from a young age was really, really important. And I think that's where fundamentally my career developed from. So having a really good schools band, a really supportive schools band, with a good strong teaching team there as well, really, really pushed us on. So that was 2014 I started playing with the schools band right up to 2020, which was some of the best years. So yeah, actually my background in piping, I didn't have a family background, didn't have family history really with pipes. We did find a chanter at my grandpa's, so there's thought that he maybe played in the police band when he was in the police. However, I never heard him play. He couldn't remember playing chanter when I was growing up or anything. So yeah, there's definitely been something. However, I did come from a very musical background. My mum's side of the family were all, not my mum's generation, but from before that, so like my nan and her siblings were all musical, and then it seemed to miss a generation and come down to the grandchildren, who all 6 of us have played an instrument at some point. So yeah, only piper in the family, but have really enjoyed it, and it's became my career.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah. Only piper in the family. That's fun. I feel like it's so unusual sometimes. Like I'm the same, and I feel like so many of the people that we always bump into, it's always like all their family, like they've just got pipers through and through. From the get-go, did you always kind of think it was going to be the kind of end point of the career, or the starting point of the career, I suppose?
I'm not sure at that point I'd decided this is what I want to do. I didn't really know enough about it, if that makes sense. I didn't even really know about competing at all, or obviously started with pipe bands and then went into solos, and that was really the only avenues I had with piping at that point. So it was still a bit of a, well, this is good fun, it's good, enjoy it. I enjoy going to pipe band contests, I enjoy going to practice, and I just loved practicing. Like the practice chanter was never out my hands, and it was one of those ones I would just pick it up and play things, and it was probably just a accumulated practice over the years, and did really enjoy it. So yeah, I don't think it was when I started, there was never an insight of I want to do this. There was an insight of I want to pipe myself around the world. My mum always says I used to say that, and so far that started to happen. But I have really enjoyed just starting to play in different countries, and that's what I wanted to do, was then like, alright, I'm going to play as many countries as I possibly can. But I didn't really have a plan of how I was going to do that, or why I would get an opportunity to go to a country to play pipes. So it's been interesting how things like that have developed over the years. But no, it definitely wasn't I want to do pipes for the rest of my days. It was probably about 2016, around about then, so a couple of years with the schools band, and I started doing a bit of tutoring on the Friday nights. So it started off just kind of going up and helping out, and then starting to take a wee group of maybe 2 or 3 players on a Friday and just working with them, and I just loved it. Just really loved it, and that was probably a key moment for me, because it was seeing the pupils go through their 5 tunes, sitting their test, passing their test, and then getting onto pipes and going into the development band. And I think at that point, that was the rewarding part of like their journey, and actually seeing them going from learning chanter to then going on to pipes. And it was then at that point I thought, maybe this is something I could do a bit more.
Would you say that you're more like a competing piper than, obviously, because like you said, we were kind of both in RCS, and there's like so much like folky traditional music that we're like so immersed in with that course, and I feel like sometimes you can not go one way or the other, but there's kind of like you're kind of either very much in that scene or like the competing. Sometimes there's a balance of both. What would you say? Would you kind of go?
I would definitely put myself in that competing bracket. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the likes of our folk ensemble classes at RCS and stuff, and good fun playing different music. So that was really a new skill, if you want to even put it into that category of playing different music, playing with other instruments, playing at different tempos and things, which was really fun. And yeah, the folky scene, I've not really gone down that route. When I came to RCS, I did really stick with Willie for my lessons and really try and develop that solo technique and push on from there, and enjoy competing in bands, enjoy getting back into the solos now as well. But doing the likes of playing with the Tattoo Band for their Just Too Late the Hydro and different gigs with them has meant playing more folk style sets than just your traditional March to Spain reels or marches. So I would say yes, my roots kind of lie in competing piping, but there's still a couple of doors open with the more folksy and stuff, which I do enjoy, having that wee bit of time to go and play some cool fun stuff and then come back to the more serious side of it.
Yeah. And see, speaking of like the hula and that, what are some of your highlights that you've experienced so far in the piping career?
Yeah, that's definitely, I've got to have been one of them, just playing there on Saturday at the Hydro. 10,000 folk going absolutely mental when you come onto the stage. Full number ones, and you're playing good tunes. Yeah, good group of people. And then we had some dancers and flaming bagpipes. So that's definitely been a highlight. And that all stemmed from getting the opportunity to play with them in Oslo at the Norwegian Tattoo earlier this year.
Oh, cool.
And then a wee bit of Edinburgh. So doing the tattoo at the castle, which was really good fun, and then playing with them in Germany. So I would definitely say that's been some of the highlights of this year. New York with North Lanarkshire Schools Pipe Band playing at Tartan Week in 2019 was, something else. 60 pipers and drummers walking down, is it 4th Street or something?
Yeah,
6th Street?
yeah, something like
6th
that.
Avenue.
I think,
walking
Avenue, isn't
down
it?
there, 6th Avenue, and it was, the sound that we got from that was incredible. So that was probably our most successful year as a band with North Lanarkshire. We came back from Tartan Week, and then we're lucky enough to play for the late Queen. So that was a really, really special day to be able to be invited to do something like that. And we played for it at Greenfield High School, and then to go on later that year and win the Worlds for the second time with the schools band was another kind of highlight, and just really summed up 2019. It was a fantastic year. A definite highlight is going and doing the piping degree. It's been a massive part of my life over the last 4 years, so that's really been really, really great to do. And then getting to play like the King's Coronation.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just special moments that, these are things that you think I might never ever get to do that again, and I've been very fortunate to get to do that, and I've really enjoyed it. I've had a couple of fun gigs just on the side. I played a show for CBBC for Stanley the Monster, so we taught this puppet monster to play the bagpipes, which was absolutely hilarious. And you've got the guy lying on the floor doing the accents and everything while he's making the puppet move, and you're talking to a bit of stuff fluff that's moving in front of you. It was a bit of a strange day. And then the likes of playing for Marty Pello just a few weeks ago as well, which was a really cool gig, just touring around parts of Glasgow, getting off his tour bus, playing Flower of Scotland and getting back on his tour bus. So that's not how you spend every Thursday of your life. So yeah, there's been some special moments there. And then even thinking abroad as well, going over to Canada and teaching at the College of Piping out there has been just great opportunities to have been fortunate enough to go and do that. So yeah, there's been some really good ones over the years, and that's some highlights just there.
Oh, nice one. I didn't realise you were in New York in 2019.
Yeah.
I was there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could have bumped into
I know.
open schools.
What a small world. Wow. Nice one. Well, with the highlights, and what about the kind of opposite end of that? So what do you think are like some of the challenges that have kind of crossed your path a bit?
The biggest challenge was my shoulder, which I think most people do know about the shoulder issue, and that was one of the hardest things to ever overcome. So 2020 I started developing shoulder pain in my left shoulder. Went for physio, went for scans. Doctors didn't really know what was wrong with it. Yeah, it was a pretty rough time to get through. You've got pain in your shoulder every day, which ended up developing to the point where simple daily activities like using a knife and fork properly, driving, like washing your hair, straightening your hair, it was just pain constantly. And I think, yeah, that was definitely one of the hardest things. And it turned out I had a shoulder impingement. So by that, the space between my acromion and my shoulder blade had got smaller, which can be caused by a few things. So I had a bit of repetitive strain from all the hours of piping, like impact on the shoulder. I fell when I was really young down sand dunes, and it was that shoulder that I had hit, and then overhead movement. So I played competitive badminton for Lanarkshire for around 6 years, so obviously training everything at the young age hadn't helped it. So there was a combination of a few things there that had caused the problem, and thankfully I did manage to see the surgeon and have the operation, which turned out to be successful. And don't get me wrong, it's not cured the problem completely. There's still days, especially like August, where you've got World, you've got Oban, you had a bit of the tattoo, and you've got a lot playing, that there's definitely times there where it's learning about rest and learning, I need to take some time off. Or for example, last week at the Hydro, you're going to have a day of rehearsing and sound checking and then playing the gig. So it's just making sure you take that time to recover. And I still have to go now for regular physio to keep the shoulder in good shape and stuff. So yeah, that was a pretty rough time of the year, especially, or a few years. It nearly lasted for 3.5 years we went through that. So that was pretty much through my whole time at RCS. We went through that. And what was crazy was it was November, December 23 that Willie had said to me, he says, why don't you try swapping to the other shoulder? And I was like, nah, I can't just relearn the pipes on this side when you've always played your whole life on this side. And he was like, I think we should do it. I think we should give it a go. So maybe in me, I was like, well, I'm up for a challenge, so let's do it. So we got a bag, changed the stocks round, and I started learning on this side. And do you know, I think because when you get to a certain point, like listening to pipes out of tune becomes quite difficult. So I learned to blow really steady and get the correct pressure and everything on this shoulder because I was so invested in it sounding good, because I didn't want to practice, and it was just like, oh, well, I'm just playing pipes. So I worked hard at that, and that was a really key moment in my career where, because I had to relearn pipes, I had to really think about the process of blowing, squeezing, maintaining that pressure, and just playing, because it had just been like, it became so like motorised on my left shoulder, just a routine that you just knew what you were doing. And it was actually at that point I was starting to teach on the YMI project for North Lanarkshire, and you're starting to then put pupils onto pipes, and you think, wait a minute, how do you actually play the pipes? So it was actually a really good learning point in my career for me, because I had to relearn how to do something, and then it's made me really think about that process to then be able to actually say to a pupil now, right, here are the steps that we're going to go through to get that steady pressure. So as much as it was a rough time, and yeah, painkillers every day for 3.5 years was not good, But there was definitely learning points that came out of it, that and how to practice effectively. So part of the problem was during COVID, having all that free time in the house, I played pipes for hours a day, which didn't help the situation. But didn't know any different and kept going and kept going. But then since then, have now learned how to effectively practice within the likes of an hour, because I just couldn't be playing for longer than that without getting the pain back. So yeah, learning to practice effectively, and probably just as a person, like mentally, there was times where I was giving up with it and I was like, ugh, what's the point? It's never going to get better. You had a doctor telling you you'll never play a set of pipes again, you'll not be able to do this, like you need to change your career. And that also sparked a bit of determination of, actually I'm going to have this operation, I'm going to come through the other side, I'm going to work hard at recovery, and I'm going to be back doing what I love doing. And I think that just does show how much I do enjoy pipes, because it would have been easy a few years ago to just go, nah, I'm done with pipes, there's too much here, too much pain. It still wouldn't have solved the problem because I had it in everyday life, but no, it's been really good just to kind of push on and now come out the other side of that and start working to where we want to go now. Yeah, I probably think that's been the worst point, and it's filtered through. Yeah.
That's amazing though. Like I suppose like the kind of strength that you showed as well. Because it's kind of it's quite a big thing there that that you've gone through it. I feel like the way that you're talking about it, with like how it's like so positively affected yourself.
Yeah.
Like it's amazing to kind of be able to come out of it and just really show how it's like shaped yourself as like a piper, and not even just a musician in general, like or just in life. It's like it is amazing.
I think it makes you value that time you get. Like I had only ever known my life since 2014 to then play competitions all through your summer. And then obviously when COVID happened, we didn't have the season, and then the following year I couldn't compete because I literally couldn't play pipes. And it now makes you value that time that you can play, and every time you do get the pipes out, every time you do get an opportunity to do a gig, you take it and you do really enjoy it. And comes with that balance of rest and play, but it's just kind of keeping an eye on that and working through it.
And was there anyone or anything like specific that was like, or I suppose not even in that time, but within your piping so far, that's been like a kind of like a big inspiration or motivation for you to keep going with it as well, especially with such like a big chunk where it could have kind of gone either way. Like, was there anything or anyone that it was like such a big inspiration?
Yes, I think going back to the North Lanarkshire, Darren teaching me was a great inspiration and got me into the competing band side of things. And then from there I moved to Ross Cowan's band, into the senior band for North Lanarkshire. And Ross really inspired me on both solo and competing band side of things, and in teaching. So it was him that I went out and shadowed and done work experience with through North Lanarkshire schools. And it really inspired me and helped me through the shoulder as well. So these people have all been there to support me. And then the biggest influence has probably then came from Willie McCallum, having lessons from him here when I done my degree. And he was maybe the unfortunate person that had me in third year when the shoulder was at its worst point, just like 4 months before going for surgery. And it was really, he kept me going every single lesson. We still continue to have lessons. I was actually using one of his Kintyre pipe practice chanters. So I was using one of them because I was worried about going for surgery and then like losing the technique from not being able to play a pipe chanter and that spacing being different and having small hands, you know.
Absolutely.
You just going practice chanter to pipe chanter is just, it's difficult at the best of times, never mind not playing pipes for nearly a year of your life. So that was definitely a really good help, and we sat down every single week, still had our 1.5 hour lesson, the kettle was on, coffee on the table, got out the music and just learned tunes. And that really kept me going, just thinking about, right, how can you use this time where you can't be playing pipes but you can still be playing practice chanter. So using one of his new Kintyre chanters really helped keep that technique and just the development of my hands going, and then just banking tunes and working on technique. So yeah, Willie, I take my hat off to him, because he fairly got it rough with us for a year or two, but definitely kept me on the straight and narrow, and he was the one that really said, look, have the operation, come out the other side of it, let's work hard and see where we go from there. So I think him believing in me as well, that it wasn't like, he could see that I wasn't ready for giving up, and it was just keeping us going, which he definitely done. And using that time again, turning the negative into a positive, and how can you change this bad time to make it more positive. And I used it really to help with technique and teaching. So I could still teach chanter, so any of the YMI, doing the chanters in the schools and stuff, I could still do all that, which was great, that you still had a bit of inspiration there to keep you going. They're probably the main few that have influenced my life so far.
And what about outside the world of piping then? What kind of things do you get up to when you're not teaching or piping or practicing or playing on tour buses and at the hydro? What other things do you get up to?
So during COVID, I kind of got back into running, and I loved it. Like, just going for runs, it was like an excuse to get to leave the house. I done a wee challenge. I was just in 6th year during the first year of COVID. It was just coming into my last few months of 6th year. So we done a staff wee pupils challenge. So you had to submit all your miles that you were doing and stuff, and it was to see who could climb like Ben Nevis first or something along the lines of that. And I remember one day I was like, do you know what, I've got nothing else better to do. I've been running about 8 to 12k a day, so I decided I'm going to run a half marathon around the village. Was away up to Blackwood and then over to Crisford and then back down into Ashgill and everything. And don't get me wrong, I paid for it a few days later, but it was really good, and it changed something for me. I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed that, just getting out the house and really clearing your head. So I've continued running. I obviously had to take a wee pause with the shoulder, with repetitive strain as well from there, but I got back into it, and that's really kind of one of the things I love doing. And then again the beginning of this year, I got back into badminton, which I loved. So I played competitively for around 6 years for Lanarkshire when I was at school, for their under-19 squad, and then I've got back into playing now, and now playing for the Strathclyde region. So it's great. That's a really good environment of just meeting people out with piping and out with music as well, which I do think is really important for people to have connections, because piping is great and music, but it's such a small world. So having just that time to go away and decompress and de-stress is definitely smash some shuttles and hope for the best, is a good way to go for a few days of the nights during the week. I'm still involved with Girl Guiding, so I'm a leader up in Blackwood there, which again, it's weird how your life changes and things, and obviously having been involved now with teaching, and that is where my passion lies and where my career is, but then that follows into Girl Guiding, where it's creating that space for girls to go and just kind of giving them that, like what I got as a kid, and opportunities and meeting new people and stuff. So that's been really good to do. I had completed my Duke of Edinburgh award through the Girl Guides as well, so that was really good to do bronze, silver and gold, and meet people again from all over Scotland. I'd done my 3 walks in different areas, so it was really good to have different teams for each of them. So I think it's just things like that where you build people skills, you build communication skills, and I've really enjoyed just keeping busy and being away and doing things. Sports kind of, after music comes sport, but then still within music I started learning piano just when I went to RCS, and when the shoulder all came about, to kind of further a career within teaching, and I'm back playing alto saxophone again with concert bands, just in the schools where we are just now. But it's been really fun. I actually played Larkhill Academy's Christmas concert last night, which was my 10th one with them, which is crazy. 10 years ago I started at Larkhill Academy, so to be back last night was something special. Be back playing alto sax, really good fun, and really enjoyed it.
Oh, that's great. I still think it's so cool that you play the saxophone. I feel like if there's like one instrument that I wish I could play, Yeah,
We'll
saxophone.
get the pipes and saxophone jazz.
Let's do
fusion
it,
going
absolutely.
again. Yeah, it'll be
Yes,
good fun.
please. Sign me up, that'd be great. Well, just before we finish then, have you got any advice for other people, whether it's pipers and drummers, just musicians in general, or up and coming people into the piping scene?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is work hard, don't give up. I've got a bit of a motto that I live by, is dream big, work hard and never give up. And I feel like so far in my life I have had to use all three of them in different ways and keep yourself going. And it's never easy. Like, life's not easy. We would all be loving life if it was easy sailing and you just turned up to things and it was great. So I think I've learned that rest is really important, and taking the time off, whether that's from like an injury or whether that's from sometimes people just need a break away, and then refocusing and going back to it and really kind of appreciating like what talent that you've got. Do you know, if you're just thinking about coming into piping as a career, it's like that's where your work's just starting, and value what you've already got, but don't like ever close the doors of where you could go. Or if something doesn't go right, like don't think, oh, that's it, it's all over type thing. And I think it's important to bounce back from different things and have other things on in your life, so not just being about piping or about music, really about having that wider like variety of things where you can take yourself away and go and do something different and then come back at another stage and start working. And yeah, I think hard work is the biggest key there, but don't overdo it, don't get repetitive strain. Yeah, I think have inspirations, have dreams, have goals. I think you've got to set yourself challenges. There, when you're talking about other things I do, like my challenge for next year is to run a full marathon. Do you know? And like that's nothing to do with music. It's nothing to do with doing it for somebody specifically. It's more for myself and just to be able to go, I'm going to work hard, I'm going to train for that, and that's what I'm looking to achieve. And I think for piping and for music as well, it's good to have goals, and that could be as small as I want to be able to sit an exam, if it's like maybe your piano or your saxophone exams, you want to be able to try and achieve something like that. Or it might be you're thinking of going in to do a career in music and going down the path there. But yeah, I think have your goals, have your aspirations, use people that are around you to get advice as well. So like one thing for me that I've learned over the last 6 weeks of doing my first placement for the postgrad teaching is observation, like observing other people. So like learning, that could be learning techniques and how they teach, that could be learning like techniques and how to like work with children, or that could be something like learning techniques on how to practice effectively and how to get yourself to a better level. And I think things like that, just observing what people are doing. And I'm not saying for 1 minute be a photocopier and just copy and paste, but it's really about looking at what they do, evaluate what they do, and then see how you can put that into your own practice. And yeah, that's been a big learning curve for me, and the teaching aspect side of things just now. But then also thinking about your Glenfiddich players and stuff, and what are they doing to practice? How are they practicing effectively? Because like that's like use your time like efficiently and just really stick in and work hard. And I do think anyone can achieve anything they set out for. I'm a true believer in that, and it does come with hard work. There's no doubt about that it's not an easy ride, but enjoy it. Enjoy the process, enjoy every minute of it, and just kind of value your time that you have doing what you love.
Well, thank you so much. That is just lovely. I think that's great motivation there. I think you'll be a good inspiration for everyone else listening to this. Well, thank you for today. It's been lovely. Get a wee catch up and a cup of tea. This is kind of the only time we can do this now because we're both so busy. And good luck with your marathon next year. I reckon
Let you know how it goes.
We all know that you're going to smash it.
We'll see how it goes.
Okay.